part of what made the Macintosh great was that the people working on it were musicians, poets, and artists, and zoologists, and historians. They also happened to be the best computer scientists in the world. But if it hadn't been computer science, these people would have been doing amazing things in other fields. You know, my main reaction to this money thing is that it's humorous, all the attention to it, because it's hardly the most insightful or valuable thing that's happened to me. Innovation has nothing to do with how many R&D dollars you have. When Apple came up with the Mac, IBM was spending at least 100 times more on R&D. It's not about money. It's about the people you have, how you're led, and how much you get it. I was lucky. I found what I loved to do early in life. And I started Apple in my parents' garage when I was 20. We worked hard, and in 10 years, Apple had grown from just the two of us in a garage into a $2 billion company with over 4,000 employees. As individuals, people are inherently good. I have a somewhat more pessimistic view of people in groups, and I remain extremely concerned when I see what's happening in our country, which is in many ways the luckiest place in the world. We don't seem to be excited about making our country a better place for our kids. I learned about serif and sans serif typefaces, about varying the amount of space between different letter combinations, about what makes great typography great. It was beautiful, historical, artistically subtle in a way that science can't capture, and I found it fascinating. The reason that Apple is able to create products like the iPad is because we've always tried to be at the intersection of We hire people who want to make the best things in the world. I have a great respect for incremental improvement, and I've done that sort of thing in my life, but I've always been attracted to the more revolutionary changes. I don't know why, because they're harder, they're much more stressful emotionally, and you usually go through a period where everybody tells you that you've completely failed. When you're a carpenter making a beautiful chest of drawers, you're not going to use a piece of plywood on the back, even though it faces the wall, and nobody will ever see it. You'll know it's there, so you're going to use a beautiful piece of wood on the back. I think money is a wonderful thing because it enables you to do things. It enables you to invest in ideas that don't have a short-term payback. The system is that there is no system. That doesn't mean we don't have process. Apple is a very disciplined company, and we have great processes. But that's not what it's about. Process makes you more efficient. I didn't see it then, but it turned out that getting fired from Apple was the best thing that could have ever happened to me. The heaviness of being successful was replaced by the lightness of being a beginner again, less sure about everything. It freed me to enter one of the most creative periods of my life. We don't get a chance to do that many things, and everyone should be really excellent, because this is our life. Life is brief, and then you die, you know, so this is what we've chosen to do with our life. Design is the fundamental soul of a man-made creation that ends up expressing itself in successive outer layers of the product or service. The iMac is not just the color or translucence or the shape of the shell. The essence of the iMac is to be the finest possible consumer computer in which each element plays together. The overall point is that new technology will not necessarily replace old technology, but it will date it. By definition, eventually it will replace it. But it's like people who had black and white TVs when color came out. They eventually decided whether or not the new technology was worth the investment. What is Apple? After all, Apple is about people who think outside the box. People who want to use computers to help them change the world, to help them create things that make a difference, and not just to get a job done. My biological mother later found out that my mother had never graduated from college, and that my father had never graduated from high school. She refused to sign the final adoption papers. She only relented a few months later when my parents promised that I would someday go to college. It's not the tools that you have faith in. Tools are just tools. They work or they don't work. It's people you have faith in or not. Yeah, sure, I'm still optimistic. I get pessimistic sometimes, but not for long. You can't just ask customers what they want and then try to give that to them. By the time you get it built, they'll want something new. I've done a lot of things I'm not proud of, such as getting my girlfriend pregnant when I was 23 and the way I handled that. A lot of people in our industry haven't had very diverse experiences, so they don't have enough dots to connect, and they end up with very linear solutions without a broad perspective on the problem. The broader one's understanding of the human experience, the better design we will have. I'm an optimist in the sense that I believe humans are noble and honorable, and some of them are really smart. I have a very optimistic view of individuals. When you're young, you look at television and think, there's a conspiracy. The networks have conspired to dumb us down. But when you get a little older, you realize that's not true. The networks are in business to give people exactly what they want. If you're gonna make connections which are innovative, you have to not have the same bag of experiences as everyone else does. Design is a funny word. Some people think design means how it looks. But of course, if you dig deeper, it's really how it works. For you to sleep well at night, the aesthetic, the quality, has to be carried all the way through. No one wants to die. Even people who want to go to heaven don't want to die to get there. And yet death is the destination we all share. No one has ever escaped it. And that is as it should be, because death is very likely the single best invention of life. It's not a faith in technology, it's faith in people. If you haven't found it yet, keep looking, don't settle. As with all matters of the heart, you'll know when you find it. And like any great relationship, it just gets better and better as the years roll on. We made the buttons on the screen look so good you'll want to lick them. Technology is nothing. What's important is that you have a faith in people, that they're basically good and smart. And if you give them tools, they'll do wonderful things with them. Sometimes when you innovate, you make mistakes. It is best to admit them quickly and get on with improving your other innovations. Being the richest man in the cemetery doesn't matter to me. Going to bed at night saying we've done something wonderful, that's what matters to me. Creativity is just connecting things. When you ask creative people how they did something, they feel a little guilty because they didn't really do it. They just saw something. It seemed obvious to them after a while. Remembering that I'll be dead soon is the most important tool I've ever encountered to help me make the big choices in life. For the past 33 years, I have looked in the mirror every morning and asked myself, if today were the last day of my life, would I want to do what I am about to do today? And whenever the answer has been no for too many days in a row, I know I need to change something.